been able to get onto more ballots. But, you know, I think, look, here's the other thing about why this investment on small percentages. So chipping away a few percentage points in the right number of states can completely shift the election. And I remember people saying, well, I wanted to show the party, you know, show them a lesson. Okay, well, you voted for Jill Stein, and look what we got.
Yeah. I got to run. Alice, I'll get you more time next time. But thanks, ladies, to both of you. That's going to be very interesting to watch how all of that pans out. And we'll be watching that Kennedy event with the president in just a short while. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. I'm Jim Acosta. Next hour of Newsroom with Wolf Blitzer starts after a quick break. Have a great day, everybody.
Anderson Cooper 360, tonight at 8 on CNN.
Looking good, guys.
Vacations are better with the credit gods on your side.
I'm coming up.
Rewards once available to the few are now accessible to the many. Earn points for travel with Credit One Bank and live large.
Transfer your IRA or your old 401k to Robinhood by April 30th and we'll give you a 3% boost. With the biggest match of any IRA on the market, Robinhood Gold gets you the most for retirement.
At St. Jude, the mission is something that everyone can truly get behind. I would love to be able to end childhood cancer. I learned that no patient ever has a bill from St. Jude, not for travel, for medical expenses. Got our little St. Jude pin there on the fridge. We're just regular people donating. Yeah. And I think it's cool to be able to make a difference in someone's lives in a way that is meaningful.
It's time to feed the dogs real food in the right amount. A healthy weight can help dogs live a longer, happier life. The Farmer's Dog makes weight management easy with fresh food pre-portioned for your dog's needs. It's an idea whose time has come.
Everybody's talking about berberine, and it really does work. So you need to try Doctor's Preferred Gluco Gold. This all-in-one formula contains the full research dose of berberine that helps keep your blood sugar in the normal range, plus 3 other powerful ingredients.
It's made a great difference in my life.
Gluco Gold is flying off shelves nationwide, but now's your chance to try a complimentary bottle by texting BUSY to 231-231.
It keeps my sugar levels right where I want it.
Gluco Gold will help you maintain healthy blood sugar levels, while it supports healthy cholesterol and insulin sensitivity guaranteed. Take the first step to making sure your next checkup is better than your last and hearing those 3 wonderful words: blood sugar normal. You can only get your complimentary bottle by texting BUSY to 231-231. Plus, text right now and you'll receive a bottle of vitamin D3 immune support absolutely free.
Doctors Preferred. Better science, better results.
Closed captioning brought to you by Mesobook.com.
If you or a loved one have mesothelioma, we'll send you a free book to answer questions you may have. Call now and we'll come to you.
800-821-4000.
And then there were 6. Seated juror number 2 has just been excused from Donald Trump's hush money trial. We'll explain why. Also this hour, House Speaker Mike Johnson is walking the political tightrope right now with a foreign aid bill that has infuriated Republican hardliners. And speaking of a House divided, the Kennedy family will join forces today to back President Biden's re-election bid over RFK Jr.'s campaign. Hello, I'm Wolf Blitzer in Washington, and you're in the CNN Newsroom. Happening now in New York, Donald Trump is back in the courtroom as jury selection continues in his criminal hush money trial. It's the first ever criminal trial for a former U.S. president. One of the 7 seated jurors has already been excused. She had expressed concerns that aspects of her identity had been compromised. And we're also hearing there may be issues with yet another juror. Let's go to CNN's chief legal analyst, Laura Coates. She's in New York for us with all the late-breaking developments. Laura.
Well, it's been quite the exciting day, the third day of jury selection in the historic criminal trial against a former president of the United States. Initially, there were 96 jurors who were brought into the courtroom today. That was already cut in half by those who said they could not be impartial by a show of hands. I'm back here with Kristen Holmes, and also Kara Scannell joins us from inside this whole area. Kara, tell me what happened today. There were 96 jurors who were brought in after that juror called in to say she can no longer serve. What's happening?
So they brought in the 96 jurors, this new pool. The judge gives them the instructions about what it is required to be a juror, what the elements that they need to prove, the prosecution needs to prove this beyond a reasonable doubt. And then they ask the question of, is there anyone who feels that they cannot be fair and impartial? We saw a number of hands go up. Specifically, there were 48 people who said that they couldn't. That is on par with Monday. Monday, we started with 96, about 50 hands went up for that. So this is a similar situation that we're seeing. And then another 9 said that they couldn't serve for some other reason, like a scheduling reason. So they just started doing the 42 questions in that questionnaire where the judge is inquiring about, people's biography, if they've ever attended a Trump rally or an anti-Trump rally. They're going to build out the little profiles for the first 18 jurors in the box. Once they seat 18, meaning they've gone through the questionnaire and they don't believe any need to be excused because, the judge feels like they're potentially suitable. There's not an apparent issue of someone being unable to be fair and impartial, then they will start the questioning by the attorneys. And the attorneys, both the prosecution and Trump's lawyers, will have 30 minutes each to ask these questions. And what we learned Monday, part of the strategy is prosecutors are asking, people can believe someone who's already admitted that they've lied under oath, for instance, or if they can look past someone's job to like a tabloid publisher or an adult film actress and, evaluate them based on what they've said. So they're trying to get to the actual, issues in the case. And Trump's lawyers, as we saw, were asking a lot of questions around how do people feel about Donald Trump, trying to unearth if there was a hidden bias or a subconscious bias against him. And also, as we learned too, they were looking into people's past social media posts to try to see if there was something in someone's past, and they were successful in getting 2 jurors excluded Tuesday because they found some problematic posts going back years in their past.
And yet the judge cautioned the idea that every time you want to ask a juror in an isolated question, you have to have a separate meeting with them. The judge does not want that to take place. They want the overall 30-minute voir dire to be used to actually identify any social media posts. But there's also one juror today who was very forthcoming about just how much she knows about the allegations in this case. She's a lawyer. She's somebody who has read, I think, the Mike Pomerantz book, who was one of the members of the DA team who was outraged that Alvin Bragg did not initially want to go forward with this case. She's still there?
Well, they're still going through the questioning. So, at this point, it seems like she's still in the box, but it's not clear yet if the judge has made any rulings on her. She is a lawyer. She understands whether you could be fair and impartial, and I'm sure they'll have a conference afterwards to see if either side, because prosecutors could also have an issue that she knows some facts in this case. It's not as though it's necessarily against Trump that she's read all of this. We don't know what her view is on what she has read, but she's someone who does have a lot of information about this case, and they'll have to see if she could purely set it aside or if there's any hesitation that they don't think that she should serve.
This is a very powerful reminder that it can cut both ways. The Trump camp, though, he has been talking about storming in and out of this courtroom today. He is certainly trying to make it known how he feels about having to be present and off the campaign trail.
Yeah, and I think what's really interesting is that we've seen him really engage the jury a little bit more this time, turning around for the first time, eyeing all of the jurors. Just now we were talking about that same juror who was being questioned with her deep wealth of knowledge on the case. He was looking at her directly. Now, there's nothing that says that he can't look at these prospective jurors directly, but there is something when it is a former president and to how these jurors will feel, and if that does end up coming up in terms of they walked in, they were surprised to see he was the former president. We heard from jurors who were dismissed who said that there was something kind of shocking to them when they saw him up close and personal. So what does it mean when he's turning around and looking at them? Does that make them feel intimidated, or does it not? And again, it's not necessarily something he's doing. It's just where we are in this case, given who the defendant is.
Don't forget, there was already a juror today who had been seated, who was one of the 7 jurors. We only had 11 to go to get to that coveted 18, which includes the 12 and the 6. And has already called in to say, listen, I think that my anonymity has been compromised. The judge is well aware of this might being an impact on other jurors and certainly prospective ones as well. What's the aura in the courtroom right now, knowing that there's already been one who said, look, you seated me, I can't do it?
Well, the judge has now added additional parameters of what information can be known about the jurors. I mean, this juror, just to be clear, said that she felt that aspects of her identity were known, and she was being inundated by friends and family asking if she was this juror.
But we don't know why she felt that way or how they knew that about her, right? It wasn't necessarily one moment.
No, she did. There was not. They didn't go into a lot of the details of it. What it ended up boiling down to is that the judge said that, it can no longer be reported who someone's employer is. Now, CNN did not identify her employer. Other news outlets did. She was an oncology nurse. There are hundreds of oncology nurses in the city, but she felt like more aspects of her identity were known that made her feel uncomfortable. So the rule going forward is the judge said that, reporters can't report where someone works, which is appropriate because that does narrow it down some. And we are also trying to provide some insight so the public knows who is going to be in judgment of the former president in the first historic case, but not provide too much identity that they could be identified because we don't know their names. Only the lawyers in the case know the jurors' identities, and that is for a reason. And we see this in other high-profile cases. And this certainly is one where there is a lot of extra attention and a lot of people really kind of scouring the internet, it seems, to want to know who is on this jury. But it is also something that we've seen time and again whenever there is a high-profile trial where there is a lot of media attention on it.
Well, and there is something to be said about the fact that when you're going into jury duty, your colleagues know that you're not there likely because you're going into jury duty. Your family knows that you likely have jury duty. So telling the people around you that you're going to go down to the courthouse, that's why you're not coming to work, and then you're starting to see these details trickle out, it's going to be hard because even if you're not publishing where somebody works, any detail, if you're telling people around you, might lead to them suspecting that you're the juror. Particularly, again, we're doing this because it's a public service to get out who the jury is, to kind of show, even when you have Donald Trump saying the jury is completely unfair, showing the other side of that, who these people are that believe that they can be fair and unbiased. But it is difficult, again, in a case like this.
It isn't as difficult, and of course, Wolf, that inference might work to try to find out the identity of jurors, but it's not going to cut it for the prosecution. They have to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. They can't just rely on inference or somebody hoping to put 2 and 2 together.
Good point, Laura Coates. We'll get back to you. Thanks very, very much for more on all of this. I'm joined now by CNN legal analyst, the former federal prosecutor Jennifer Rogers. Jennifer, thanks for joining us. Is it, first of all, common for jurors who have been seated to be re-examined or asked to be excused after they are actually sworn in?
No, it's very uncommon. I mean, sometimes in the middle of trial, something will come to the attention of the parties that the juror has done that will cause them to be questioned and even sometimes removed. But this is obviously very unusual. This juror felt that she was identified. That made her concerned that she wasn't anonymous, as the jury is supposed to be. And the real problem here, Wolf, to me, is that it's not just her. I mean, the other jurors who are also seated had identifying information published about them. And so, I wonder if this is going to be an ongoing problem where these other jurors between now and when jury selection is complete say, well, hey, wait a minute, people are also contacting me to say, are you the juror? We're going backwards. We had 7 jurors as of first thing this morning. Now we have 6 and maybe even 5 because one of the jurors hadn't showed up and now may be questioned by the DA's office as to whether that juror should sit. So we're heading in the wrong direction in terms of getting this jury complete.
And all this personal information about these jurors was released during the court proceedings. It wasn't as if the media discovered who these individuals were, what their backgrounds were, and reported it. We in the media were reporting what the court had released, that information, right?
That's right. This is something that should have been foreseen. I mean, in the questionnaire, which is going to be answered by each of these jurors in the box in open court to be, as you said, reported on by anyone who's there, ask them what their current employer is and any past employers. And that piece of information is just too specific. I think that the judge and the parties should have foreseen that this might happen, and they should have already put in place some sort of measure to say, well, it's important to the parties to know